close my eyes and colors fly. There's no hiding from your grace. I can't deny your heart from mine and its unrelenting chase. I was on the edge of deception, caught up in my own hesitation, until your love took over me. So I let go and I let love show me life like it used to be. An oasis, it awaits us, all the freedom I ever need. Now I'm alive, oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I found life, oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I found life. La 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 la.
Seen on the highway. The highway is calling me to a life unlike before. The Father's heart is beckoning, and I can't resist no more. Lead me in the ways of devotion. I don't wanna get caught in emotion. My heart is only for you, Lord. So I let go and I let love show me life like it's supposed to be. An oasis, it awaits us, all the freedom I ever need. Now I'm alive, oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I found life, oh la la, oh la la. When I let go, then I found life. La 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 la. So I let go and I let love show me life like it used to be. An oasis, it awaits us, all the freedom I ever need. I'm alive. When I let go, then I found life. When I let go, then I found life. La 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 la.
All right, well, welcome to our new series called Paradox. I'm Bryce Kelly. This is my best friend, Katie Edwards.
Obviously. This is the SSM podcast.
The SSM podcast, and we're back.
We're back.
We're back. They rehired us for another series of the SSM podcast.
Suckers.
I mean,
We're
obviously,
so excited.
it's so great to be with you again. And the month of July is a great month. And we are going to start off a new series called Paradox, where we look at a bunch of different things that Jesus said that was a little out of the ordinary.
Right.
So,
not as it seems.
A little bit of a paradox, which we'll explain what that means in a little bit. But
we have
this
an
week,
awesome guest.
We have an awesome guest. Katie, introduce him.
We're very excited to have the SSM pastor from Corona with us, Mr. Jonathan Escobedo.
Yes,
Woo!
Jonathan.
We're very excited.
A fellow glasses wearer.
Yeah, just a bunch of smarty pants on this podcast today.
Talking about paradoxes.
Or blind people,
Yeah.
either or.
Either or. Who knows?
Jonathan, welcome.
Welcome to the podcast,
Thank
dude.
you guys. I'm a longtime listener. Like, so glad to be on.
It's good. It's good to be joining your fellow longtime listeners out there.
Just three best friends talking about Jesus
Yeah.
and stuff.
Of course.
Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, like the 10-second version.
I live in Corona. I get to be the SSM pastor over there, which I love. Love going outdoors, all those fun things. Like probably a little more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine.
Who's your favorite SSM student?
Ooh, favorite SSM.
Katie.
I can't answer
kidding.
that.
You don't have, they're all your favorite.
Yes.
Yes, exactly, right?
Okay.
That's what you say.
Well, we have a box of questions that we're asking all of our guests. So we're going to pick a 1 or 2 questions just for Jonathan to get to know him.
Great.
Get to know you a little, give our longtime listeners a glimpse of who you are.
course.
Okay, so softball. What's your favorite dessert?
Ooh, favorite dessert, brownies and ice cream. But it's got to be hot.
Sure.
Yes.
Fresh brownies.
What about you, B?
I would say
Donuts?
brownies.
Oh,
I don't discriminate against any dessert. So I accept them all.
I was going to say all baked goods.
All baked goods. Yeah. So all
Okay.
of them.
What do you complain about more than anything else?
You know what? I probably complain most about driving places.
You live in Corona.
I live
Traffic?
in Corona, so traffic and just
Cows?
being in the car.
All sorts of things? Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah. What about you, Katie?
The thing I complain about the most is standing in line. I hate standing in line, and I switch lines, and then it doesn't work out. I don't know.
I complain the most probably about having to wake up. Getting out of bed. I love sleep.
It's terrible.
Yeah. One more?
If you could be brilliant in one subject, what would it be?
I feel like I'd want to be brilliant in history, just to be able to give just random facts. I feel like it's just it's a power move, you know?
It is.
Oh,
People are like, whoa.
Just dropping knowledge wherever you go.
You know what happened in 1977.
Yeah, totally.
Or 1203.
I do not. Wait, ask the garden gnome question. That's a
Okay,
good one.
I have this question I ask people. If you were a garden gnome, whose lawn would you want to sit on?
You know, that's a good question. Probably want to do Clayton Kershaw. I'm a big Dodgers fan. So
Ooh.
he's got to have some teammates over every now and then, you know?
That's fair. I said Mike Trout, so I respect that decision.
I said Jimmy Fallon. He's got cool friends.
He probably has a great lawn.
Yeah.
He has a great lawn. Well,
All right.
Jonathan, so glad you're here with us in our first week of our new series called Paradox, where we're looking at some statements that Jesus said that were out of the ordinary. So first, let's just define what a paradox is. So either of you take a crack at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a paradox is something where at first glance it looks like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then it actually is something that's true. So we're talking about 4 different kind of things where it's a statement that maybe doesn't make sense at first glance. Like, how is that true? But it's actually true.
Yeah.
A little bit of an out of an ordinary. Jesus spoke a lot in parables, but also paradoxes as well. They're kind of synonyms. So this week we are looking at the paradox of giving to receive. A little bit of a confusing statement. It seems contradictory, but why don't we unpack that a little bit? What does it look like to give to receive?
Yeah, I think giving is such, when you think of giving, you think of pouring out, and when you're receiving, you think about taking in. So that's where it feels contradictory, right?
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And I think even Jesus talks about so much about giving of our money and giving, and you're looking throughout Luke, and there's so many examples where he's talking about this idea of giving our resources. And I even think about in Luke 6:38 where he kind of references this, but it says, "Give and you will receive, your gift will return to you in full, pressed down, shaken together to make room for more, running over, poured into your lap. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back." And it's I'm called to give, and as I give, God's gonna keep giving to me, and not just giving back what I've given, but just till I overflow. And that's so encouraging to me. I'm man, God's gonna continue to flow over my cup is so encouraging.
Yeah.
Well, I think when we give, we feel I think at times we can feel when we give, then we lose, right? Because we're giving away our stuff, so then we're left with less, or we're left with nothing. If I give my $5 that's in my pocket, I don't have $5 anymore, And so I think that's the real practical way that we look at that as humans. But then what Jesus is saying in this is give what you have to give, and I will give you so much more in return.
It was interesting when we were prepping for this talk and this whole concept of give to receive. When we look at the scriptures, 11 out of the 39 parables that Jesus shares is about finances. And the only thing that he talks about more than finances is the kingdom of heaven. So when you look at the whole New Testament, Jesus is constantly talking about finances, because I think in our culture, we put such an emphasis on money and finances. But at the same time, Jesus is talking a ton about finances, but this whole concept of give to receive is more than just money, right?
Yeah.
We're giving time and resources. So let's talk about maybe a little bit, what does it look like to give, of course, money, but other things as well?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because, we don't want to think about this of giving from a heart to get, like not treating Jesus like our personal vending machine, right? Like I'm just giving a lot so I can get a lot. That's definitely not the heart behind it. It's this overflow out of our heart of giving.
Definitely. Yeah, I know when I was probably in college, I mean, we've all been in college here, and it's like, you don't have a lot of money. And this idea of like, well, I don't have much to offer, but what can I offer but like my time? And I loved the fact that like I was able to go and I was able to serve at a church and just like pour into that place. I was able to help them set up for services. I was able to stack chairs. There was so much more I was able to do other than just give like financially, but like the sacrifice of time was like a big way I found like my ability to kind of like give back to some of these places and to see how God kind of gave back to me in some of those instances as well. So
that's cool. Talk about the heart behind that, right? Because there's just this heart posture that really is what Christ is talking about in this. He's talking about how our heart, what the posture of our heart is.
Yeah. I would say too, like when I think of the most generous people I know, I think they're the most joyful people I know. Like, I think joy is a product of giving. And, I think of my grandma who's followed Jesus for her whole life. She's 80 years old. And of course, she's the first one to tithe, but she's also a giver of her time, her hospitality. She invites people in, and she's just one of the most joyful people I know. So I think when we want to be a representation of Jesus, we have to be generous. But because of that, we have this joy because we're living out what he modeled as well. So
sure. And the awesome results of that is how much Christ gives back, right? So we're not doing it to get back, but it happens as a result of that, which I think is so cool.
Jonathan, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the other scripture reference where we look at it, and, a great example is found in Luke. So walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So Luke 21, 1-4 here, and it says, while Jesus was in the temple, he watched the rich people dropping their gifts in the collection box, and then the poor widow came by and dropped in 2 small coins. I tell you the truth, Jesus said, this poor widow has given more than all the rest of them, for they have given a tiny part of their surplus, but she, poor as she is, has given everything she has. And like, it just emphasizes this point that you've kind of just been talking about. It's like, it's not about how much you're giving, right? Like this lady gave a fraction compared to what everybody else was giving, but her heart, she'd given absolutely everything that she had. And Jesus acknowledges that she's given so much more in that instance. And so it really just does connect back to our heart is really what matters in our process of giving.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, let's put this a little bit maybe into a practical sense for students, as we kind of wrap up this first paradox, which is all about giving to receive. I'd love just for each one of us to kind of share maybe like what's one thing we can encourage students to do to start giving to receive. So
yeah, because maybe you're a junior higher and you're like, I have $2 in my pocket.
Does that mean I have to give 2 quarters of it?
Here, or you're a junior in high school who's paying quarters to fill up your gas tank, so you have, I understand there's definitely a tension around that, but I think, giving of our time or the way that we're gifted or our money, I think all of those places are places where we can give to receive and experience that. I think time is a big one. Mm-hmm. Because, serving someone or showing up to help out at something, even time with your family, right? So I'm sure there's things around the house that you could do that would give time. You could cook dinner, you could do extra chores, you could help out. It doesn't feel like that's giving to receive, but that's time that you're giving back to your family, and to do it with a cheerful heart without being asked. That's a cool way to give.
Yeah. I think a really great way too is to like offer up some of the talents that we have, like the things that we're good at, like they can be truly things that are helpful to other people. I think about like one of my friends in high school, he used to give out, like he would just do tutoring for people. Like he was so good at math, and like I was really bad at it.
I know. I'm like, what is that like?
I was like, I wish I had your skills. But he would just spend time with me and just kind of walk me through some of the stuff. And I was like, man, you're sharing your talent with me, which is like incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think my last encouragement to students would be, off the bat, you just think I have to give money. But I think just start small, and it can be money if you want to start small in that lane. But it doesn't mean that you need to give a whole day of your week to start serving. Just start small. Start serving by 15 minutes a day. What does it look like to empty the dishwasher at home?
Yeah.
What does it look like to offer to help clean up your teacher's room at a snack? Or what does it look like to tutor a friend in something you're good at. So I think we automatically think, oh, this is so overwhelming. I don't even know where to start. It's so grand. But I think the bigger thing is just start really small.
You could even just start by looking around your room, right? Because even, I mean, how many pairs of shoes do I have? Do you have?
How many hoodies?
Can I donate a few?
Yeah.
Could I donate a couple pairs of shoes? Could I donate a couple things? You know, maybe there's a lot of things that even just in your eyesight, you think, do I really need all of this? Are there some things that I could take and donate or give or share?
Yeah.
So I think those are always small places to start too, is just kind of opening your eyes, you know, to what's around you.
And the Lord will totally give you something back in return. Maybe not right away, but eventually.
Well, and it's not like you give and then all of a sudden Jesus is like, all right, here's a 20 spot. Like, you know, it's not like you wake up in the morning and underneath your pillow is, you know,
like
$5.
Exactly.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, gosh, the Lord gives back to us in so many different ways and brings that full life back to us, you know, in so many different areas of our life. So
that's awesome. Well, friends, Jonathan, SSM Corona pastor, thank you for joining us on our first week of Paradox. It's good to be back.
Wow, this was a good. We started out.
Started out strong. Yeah, you set the bar high for another one.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Well, students, so glad you joined us this week for week 1 of Paradox on SSM Online or SSM in person on your weekend service, and we're looking forward. Jonathan, any last words?
You know what? I'm just so honored to be on this podcast. I was fanning over this all day. So thank you guys. You know,
we'll bring you back, I guess.
You are honored.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll see you next weekend on SSM.
It was so great to be with you, SSM. Just a little encouragement from this week. I just want to encourage you to lean into strengthening your faith this week. So spend a little time in prayer talking to God and spend a little time in His Word just to strengthen those faith muscles. And we'll see you next week here for Paradox Week 4 here at SSM Online.